All right, so there's this huge shift happening in tech right now. It's kind of flying under the radar, but it's massive. It's like a reverse migration, and it's called cloud repatriation. Today, we're going to break down exactly what that means, and more importantly, why you should care. And we're basing this all on a really deep dive report from Virtualization Options LLC, a tech research firm out of Colorado that's been all over this trend. Okay, let's start with this quote because it really nails the whole idea. This isn't about companies suddenly hating the cloud or rejecting it completely. No way. It's much more of an evolution, right? It's about being strategic, about really thinking through which jobs belong where in this new modern IT world. So to really understand why this is happening now, we've got to go back a bit. Let's talk about that first big rush to the public cloud. The great gold rush when everybody was scrambling to get on board. This whole thing didn't happen overnight, right? You can see it played out in phases. First, you had the early adopters kind of dipping their toes in the water. Then things really sped up. But check out that pandemic surge. Whoa, that was a game changer. Companies had to go all in on the cloud like yesterday, just to keep the lights on for remote work. Speed was everything. Strategy, not so much. And that frantic rush is exactly why we're now in this period of, let's call it, strategic rebalancing. It's time to fix the rush decisions. So why did everyone jump on board so fast? Well, honestly, the sales pitch was incredible. From a money perspective, it was a no-brainer. Think about it. Instead of buying a whole house, a massive upfront cost, you could just rent a really cool apartment. No down payment, super flexible. I mean, who wouldn't love that? The engineers could get what they needed in minutes, and the finance chiefs, they were thrilled to move all that spending from a huge one-time purchase to a simple monthly bill. But if you've ever rented anything long-term, you know how this story goes. The little costs start to pile up, the rules get a bit restrictive, and that's exactly what happened here. The cloud dream started to hit a pretty big and pretty expensive reality check. So what exactly went wrong? Well, the report from Virtualization Options LLC is crystal clear on this one. It really boils down to one huge factor: money. I mean, look at this. Sure, people are worried about security and performance, absolutely. But those concerns are just dwarfed by the number one problem. A whopping 85% of companies say their cloud costs are just spiraling out of control. That's a massive, massive number. Okay, so where is all of this extra money going? Well, a lot of it comes from these gotcha fees, these hidden costs that nobody really talks about at the start. It's like the hidden utility bills you didn't know you had to pay. Take data egress fees. That's literally a penalty for moving your own data. Can you believe that? So that beautiful pay-as-you-go model, yeah, for a lot of folks, it started to feel less like a dream and more like a financial nightmare that they couldn't wake up from. And this financial wake-up call, well, it kicked off a huge new trend. Companies didn't just try to nickel and dime their cloud bills. Nope. They started doing something much more radical. They started bringing their stuff back home, moving some of their key operations back in-house. Just look at the sheer scale of this. It is absolutely staggering. The report finds that 86% of CIOs, the top tech execs, are planning to move at least some of their workloads out of the public cloud. Just let that sink in for a second. That's almost 9 out of every 10 tech leaders saying, yeah, this isn't working perfectly, we need to make a change. This isn't some fringe movement anymore. This is mainstream. And listen, this isn't just talk or some 5-year plan. It's happening right now. Over a fifth of all workloads, 21%, have already been moved back from the public cloud. Think about that. 1 out of every 5 things that companies pushed to the cloud during that big rush has been pulled back. This is a real measurable reversal of that old cloud-first mantra. So this whole process has a name. It's called cloud repatriation. And really, all it means is making a smart, deliberate decision to own your tech infrastructure for certain tasks instead of renting it. It really comes down to 3 things: getting control back, making your costs predictable again, and boosting performance. Okay, but here's the catch. Moving back home? It's not as easy as just calling the digital moving vans. This journey back from the cloud? Well, it has its own set of pretty serious hurdles, and a lot of them are things companies just don't see coming. And here's the really ironic part. The main reason companies ran to the cloud was to avoid those huge upfront costs, right? Well, guess what? Now they're back. The sticker shock is real. You suddenly have to buy all the hardware again: servers, storage, the whole shebang. And it's not just the gear. You've got to find the people who know how to run it all, which is a whole other challenge. And it's not just about money. There's another huge shift, and it's all about responsibility. See, in the public cloud, you have this shared responsibility deal. The provider handles the basic security, and you handle your stuff inside of it. But when you bring it all back in-house, that safety net is completely gone. You are now on the hook for everything. I'm talking from the lock on the data center door all the way up to the last line of application code. It's all on you. All right, so if staying 100% in the cloud is getting too expensive, but coming all the way back home is crazy complicated and also expensive, what do you do? Where's the middle ground? Well, it turns out there's a third option, a strategic approach that's really emerging as the smartest way forward. And that approach is called the hybrid cloud. Now, it is crucial to understand that this isn't some weak compromise. It's a really sophisticated strategy. The whole point is to get the best of both worlds. You get the control and the predictable costs of owning your own gear, combined with the awesome flexibility and endless scale of the public cloud. This is what being cloud smart is all about. You stop thinking in black and white, all in or all out. Instead, you look at each specific task. Does this thing run predictably, day in and day out? Great, it's probably cheaper to run it on stuff you own. Does this other thing have wild, unpredictable spikes? Perfect, that's what the public cloud is built for. I love the analogy of owning your main house, but renting a beach house for vacation. You don't buy a beach house you'll only use for 2 weeks a year, right? Same idea. Use the right tool for the job. And when you get this balance right, the benefits, which the Virtualization Options LLC report details really well, are huge. Your costs make more sense, you have total control over your most sensitive data, you can still tack into the cloud when you get a sudden rush of demand, and maybe most importantly, you're not locked into a single vendor. You're not putting all your eggs in one basket. It all comes down to being balanced, in control, and way more resilient. So this really brings us to the final, most important point. The whole conversation in IT has changed. For years, everybody chanted the mantra cloud first, cloud first. But what the research from Virtualization Options LLC shows us is that the game has changed. The question isn't, are you cloud first anymore? The question you need to be asking is, are we being cloud smart? And that one little change in thinking, it is completely reshaping how technology works.